On that day, I'll give it to them. They played incredible. For us, it felt like almost perfect CS. Whatever we did, they shut us down. Those are the words of Forest following NiP's quarterfinal defeat to Astralis at the Katowice Major. During this series, the first map was NiP's pick of Mirage, and here the Swedes failed to find a single terrorist round. Today, with the help in the form of some quotes from Forest, we're going to explore where it all went wrong for the ninjas. Wasting no time, let's get into the first gun round of this series, and as we can see, NiP are sending 3 players out mid, with 1 palace and 1 towards A ramp. Watching with Rez, we can see that he catches Device crossing towards Sandwich, and what happens next is where everything gets a bit strange for NiP, and Rez moves all the way back round towards Apps, and now NiP are just going to stagnate and hold from their positions. Glaive though manages to isolate a 1 versus 1 and kills Elecro, bringing the round back into a 4 versus 4, and now I'm just going to pause so we can have a look at the map. Notice just how spread out NiP are, and they paid the price as Astralis took away their man advantage without the opportunity for a trade kill. Jumping forward, Forest found a great entry kill back onto the A site, and after a hectic 10 or so seconds, falls into a 1 versus 2 where Zipnix is the last alive for Astralis. And now I'm just going to talk over the Dane, doing what he does best. After the entry kill, I really think NiP should have just gone into the A split like they were already set up for. Instead though, they hesitated and spread out, giving Astralis time to make plays to get themselves back into the round. As for the clutch at the end, I don't think NiP played it awfully. Zipnix was just too good. However, winning this round would have put Astralis in a bad spot with respect to the money, and as Forest puts it, we had a 2-on-1 against Zipnix when the score was 2-0 for them, and that definitely would have switched over the momentum. Moving along, we're going to watch what I'd describe as an optimistic call coming out from Elecro. To start off with, NiP has 1 back apps, 1 passive mid and 3 towards A, and they're going to throw the jungle and stairs smoke, plus some other nades to help sell the fake. In this scenario, Astralis are in a really unfortunate setup because they don't have a play on the A site or towards the ticket area that can communicate that no terrorists are out, and it's quite surprising really that the Danes did not over-rotate here. Next up, NiP is going to swap 2 new players into ramp and group 3 towards B apps, and whilst this is happening, Astralis gives up mid control, moving into 3 on A and 2 on the B bomb site. The thing to keep an eye on next is Astralis' remaining nades, and more importantly, how they use them. So NiP throws another set of the jungle and stairs smokes, but Glaive counter smokes ramp, and here Elecro feels like he has to commit through the ramp smoke to help sell the fake. But back on B, Astralis does not over-rotate because of the info on A. Dupree gets off a molly under window, and NiP gets completely wrecked by the crossfire from Dupree and Zipnix. During this round, I think Astralis played it really well, though since NiP needed 4 smokes to run this double set of fakes, they could not take mid control, meaning that Astralis had more nades for the late rounds, and the lack of mid pressure probably made the call to give up mid and play from the sites a little easier. I don't hate this round from NiP, just that I think there are calls with better risk reward, and here Astralis with their discipline not to over-rotate on both occasions and great utility usage makes them look a class above the ninjas. Recall that in the first clip NiP could not close out their man advantage, and this was a recurring theme during this game. At the start of this round, NiP is going to do a regular mid default with 3 outs of mid and a catch Dupree in the open. After waiting out some counter nades in mid, they decide to smoke short and window, then flash get right in for ladder control. Whilst this is going on, Glaive pushes apps and gets a good timing onto Rez, brings it back into a 4 versus 4, and at almost the same point, Major swings connector, finding a kill and narrowly avoiding being traded out by Forest, and just like that, NiP is down into a 3 versus 4 with only 2 flashes, their names. Now what's happened here wasn't awful from NiP from my perspective, and certainly Astralis got a bit lucky with the timings. My main criticism is that I can't see what the plan was here. There was about 1 minute left in the round, the bomb was still top mid, and they committed both their remaining smokes to get 1 player into ladder control. Had they just sent Rez to get the bomb and used the same smokes to go into a connector split, I think NiP wins the round maybe 70 to 80% of the time. It seems though that being unable to convert these advantages was taking its toll on the mental side of the ninjas. At this point, I think the pressure starts to get to you and frustration might build up within the team, said Forrest. That's where the mentality comes in. As a team, you need to stop this downhill trajectory, and we were trying everything. Loads of people chipping in, and nothing worked. During this game, NiP made plenty of small mistakes, and these defined the rest of the half for NiP. As Forrest puts it, the individual skill was not there for us either. People were feeling a bit cold, a bit shaky maybe. Especially when you're down 8-0 and you haven't killed anybody. It's going to be rough to take initiative and perform as you usually would. In these next few clips, we'll explore some of these small errors. So on round 12, NiP wanted to go for an explosive hit out of ramp with the jungle and stair smokes, but Astralis faced ramp at the start and it was quickly traded into a 3 vs 3 after plant, which is probably a 50-50 scenario, considering the nade counts for both sides. Watching with Forrest, we could see that Dupree likely accidentally baited some shots with his shadow, and Forrest would be really kicking himself for not finding this kill, since it probably wins NiP the round. In general, I do not like to highlight small individual or mechanical mistakes in any of my videos, because across a match they do happen to basically every player. But here NiP really needed this round, and Forrest had a great opportunity to get on the scoreboard. Moving on to round 13, NiP gets free out of top mid early, throwing window, top mid and short smokes. Here Device free mollied the window smoke and caught Electro going through the top mid smoke. Now it might be the case that on stage they cannot hear the free molly catching the smoke, but if they did, NiP needs to respect the angle the Device was playing, at least using some flashes to put him back. Having watched this round a couple of times, I'm not sure anyway what the call was. It seemed like a bit of a waste to throw free smokes towards mid early and having Rez throwing the smoke in apps, where just one connected one-way smoke coming out from the CTs would mean so much util is spent for little control. So earlier on we outlined a quote from Forrest that hinted at frustration building up within the team when going so far down. And what we're going to watch here is a prime example of a player out of frustration making an overly ambitious play. Watching with Get Right, we can see the NiP trades 1-for-1 in mid, he's going to move up to close connector. Here he tries to flash through the connector one-way smoke, but will go down to Magus. And just like that, the round goes down into a 2 vs 4, and then later a 1 vs 2. And that's all she wrote for NiP on the T side in this match. Now that we've gone through a good chunk of the rounds, let's explore some overarching concepts during this game. The first of these is NiP's pacing towards mid, and during this game, if NiP went out mid, they basically only did it at the start of the round. Although, outside of the round where Device found the opener onto Lecro using the window pre-molly, they did not get directly punished really at all. Varying up pacing towards mid is something every top team should be doing, and here I suspect for Astralis it became quite an easy call to give up mid control if there was no pressure early and just play on the sites. There are other advantages to switching up pacing towards mid on Mirage, but I'll gloss over them here. Combining this with some of the unusual calls and mid-round hesitation shown during this game, and at least under pressure, Lecro has not made a great account for himself as an IGL on this half. On this topic of Lecro leading, Forrest said, "I would still consider Lecro to be fairly new to being an in-game leader, and that most teams are born in-game leaders, and we're still trying out a lot of different stuff." We've mentioned it several times already, but Astralis played an incredible CT side in this match, and it's definitely worthy of a video in its own right. Here Glaive was reading them like a book, they had such great utility usage, and the afterplants all went the way of the Danish side, and here Forrest gives them plenty of credit for how well they played. Obviously in that game, they came in very, very prepared. They did not give us a single moment to think, they just shut us down cold. We tried pretty much everything we had in our arsenal. We tried literally everything we had, and nothing worked. So keep in mind that this half alone is a very small data set, but just through these terrace rounds I think NiP showed that their playbook and calling is not well flushed out at this moment in time. It's not that I think the calls Lecro went for were terrible, is that NiP's T side does not look very complete to me. Where were the calls that deny information and pull rotations? Where were the contact and aggressive plays that I think suits this team? This idea of Lekro not having a great feel yet for when to throw in these sorts of rounds is apparent within the squad. I think we're still trying to define our style. We are not really set on how we should approach the T side, said Forrest. We've just got to find the balance of when we should do the contact plays, when we should do the executes, when we should only rely on executes. I think we just need to figure this out for which team we're playing. Obviously, this game does not paint a great picture of NiP in their current state, and during this series they put up a great fight on the second map of Dust 2 versus Astralis, displaying some of their better terrorist traits and teamwork. Should NiP play Astralis again on Mirage, and especially under less pressure, I would not expect it to be such a whitewash, and Forrest himself is remaining optimistic about NiP's chances. I also think if we play Mirage against them again on another day, it's definitely not going to be the same. All of the quotes in this video came from an interview I did with Forrest in Katowice, and that will be linked in the description if you'd like to check it out. Anyways, why don't you comment below with your thoughts on NiP, both during this game and in general, and if you enjoyed that one, why don't you hit that like button, get subscribed, follow me on Twitter, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.